Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Lunar Research Station Copernicus, watching Earth hang like a blue marble in the vast darkness of space. The year was 2157, and humanity had spread throughout the solar system. Mars colonies were thriving, the Jupiter mining operations were running smoothly, and their first interstellar probes were reporting back from Alpha Centauri. But something wasn't right with the data from Probe 7. "Commander," Dr. Patel's voice crackled through her comm. "You need to see this." Sarah made her way through the station's curved corridors to the primary analysis lab. The station's skeleton crew of 15 was gathered around the main display, their faces illuminated by the pulsing patterns on the screen. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Sarah asked, studying the strange waveforms. "It's from Probe 7. We thought it was instrument failure at first, but Dr. Patel manipulated the display, overlaying multiple data streams. These patterns are too regular, too precise. This is a signal, Commander, and it's not natural." Sarah felt her heart rate quicken. "You're saying?" "Yes, we're picking up artificial transmissions from a planet that's supposedly dead." The room fell silent. Humanity had found thousands of planets, but never a sign of intelligent life. Until now. "How long until we can decode it?" Sarah asked. "That's the thing," Dr. Patel said. "We already have. It's being broadcast in multiple formats, including basic mathematical sequences, almost like they want to be found." Sarah finished. The decoded message appeared on the screen, and Sarah felt her blood run cold. "To the species advancing beyond their cradle. We are the Vazrith. We have watched your development. You approach a threshold. Prepare for evaluation." Within hours, every communications device on Earth, Mars, and the stations throughout the solar system received the same message. Humanity's first contact wasn't a greeting. It was a warning. The next 3 months were a blur of preparation and speculation. The Vazrith sent more messages, each one revealing more about their nature and purpose. They claimed to be guardians, preserving the galaxy from unworthy species who would spread chaos among the stars. They had watched humanity for centuries, and now they demanded proof of our worthiness, or our retreat back to Earth. Sarah worked tirelessly with her team, analyzing every bit of data from the Vazrith communications. Something about their messages bothered her. They were too perfect, too structured. When she finally realized what it meant, she requested an emergency meeting with the Global Defense Council. "The Vazrith aren't organic," she explained to the assembled leaders. "Their messages don't show any of the normal variations you'd expect from biological beings. They're artificial intelligences, and they're judging us by their own rigid standards." "How does this help us?" General Rivera asked, his hologram flickering slightly. "Because they're predictable," Sarah replied. "They follow patterns. And more importantly, they're broadcasting their evaluation criteria in their very method of communication." She brought up the analysis of the Vazrith signals. "Look at how they structure their transmissions. The complexity, the redundancy, the frequency patterns. It's all part of their fundamental nature. If we can understand that nature, we can defend against them." Marcus Rodriguez finished. The young engineer had been quietly observing until now, but Sarah had specifically requested his presence. His work on quantum shield technology was decades ahead of its time. "Exactly," Sarah said. "The Vazrith gave us 6 months to prove our worth or retreat to Earth. They think they're testing our civilization's maturity, but they're actually giving us everything we need to survive their judgment." "What are you proposing, Commander?" asked the council chair. Sarah took a deep breath. "A crazy idea that just might work. We turn the moon into humanity's shield. But not just any shield. One based on the Vazrith's own communication principles. Marcus has been developing something that could be adapted." "It's theoretical," Marcus interrupted. "The power requirements alone would be astronomical." "We have 3 months," Sarah said, "and every human being in the solar system ready to help. The Vazrith want to test our worthiness. Let's show them what humanity can do when we work together." The council chambers erupted in discussion, but Sarah could see it in their eyes, hope mixed with determination. The Vazrith thought they were testing humanity, but humanity had been preparing for this moment since we first looked up at the stars and dreamed. As the meeting concluded and the holograms winked out, Marcus approached Sarah. "You know their evaluation probably isn't just about our defensive capabilities, right?" Sarah nodded, watching Earth through the chamber's window. "That's exactly what I'm counting on. The Vazrith want to know if we're worthy of the stars. Then let's show them something they've never seen before: human ingenuity." She turned to Marcus with a slight smile. "Ready to help me save the human race?" Marcus returned her smile, already pulling up schematics on his tablet. "I was born ready, Commander. The real question is, are they ready for us?" The moon had never seen such activity. In the 3 weeks since the Council approved Project Aegis, humanity had moved with unprecedented speed and unity. Lunar bases that once housed dozens now accommodated thousands. Mining operations ran continuously, boring deep into the lunar surface to create vast underground facilities. Sarah watched through the new reinforced windows of the expanded Copernicus station as another convoy of construction drones moved across the lunar surface. They looked like giant metal insects, carrying components for Marcus's revolutionary shield system. "Status update?" she asked, not turning from the window. "Ahead of schedule on the infrastructure," Marcus replied, his voice tired but proud. "The quantum resonance arrays are being installed in sections 4 through 7. Dr. Patel's team has decoded another layer of the Vazrith's communication protocols, and we've integrated their findings into the shield harmonics." Sarah finally turned to face him. Dark circles under his eyes testified to the endless hours he'd been working. "When was the last time you slept?" "Define sleep," he said with a weak smile. "Marcus, I'll rest when Earth is safe." He brought up a holographic display of the moon's surface. Thousands of red dots indicated shield generator locations, forming an intricate web across the lunar landscape. "Besides, look at this. We're actually doing it. Humans from every nation, every colony, working together to build something that's never been attempted before." Sarah studied the display. The shield network was beautiful in its complexity, but something caught her eye. "There's a gap in the coverage here," she said, pointing to a section near the moon's north pole. "Not a gap, an opportunity." Marcus manipulated the display, zooming in on the area. "We've been analyzing the Vazrith's transmission patterns. They always follow the most efficient path. So we're giving them one. If they attack, they'll naturally target this apparent weakness. A trap. Better, a test." Marcus's eyes lit up with that familiar enthusiasm he got when explaining his innovations. "The shield isn't just defensive, it's interactive. When they hit that spot, it'll resonate with their own energy signatures. We'll learn everything about their weapons technology in seconds." Sarah shook her head in amazement. "You're brilliant, you know that. I just build things. You're the one who figured out their true nature." He paused, his expression growing serious. "Speaking of which, have you told the Council your full theory about the Vazrith?" "Not yet." Sarah walked to her desk, picking up a data tablet containing her complete analysis. "They're focused on survival right now. Telling them that the Vazrith might be victims themselves. It would complicate things. They deserve to know. And they will. But right now, we need everyone focused on completion. 2 months left until their deadline." A sudden alarm blared through the station. Sarah's comm crackled to life with Dr. Patel's voice. "Commander, we're detecting massive energy signatures approaching the solar system. The Vazrith, they're early." Sarah and Marcus shared a look of alarm before rushing to the command center. The main screen showed multiple objects decelerating from faster-than-light travel, their energy signatures matching the Vazrith communications perfectly. "Time to intercept," Sarah demanded. "At current velocity, 4 days," one of the technicians reported. Marcus swore under his breath. "The shield network isn't fully integrated yet. We need at least a week. They deserve to know." And they will. But right now, we need everyone focused on completion. 2 months left until their deadline. A sudden alarm blared through the station. Sarah's comm crackled to life with Dr. Patel's voice. "Commander, we're detecting massive energy signatures approaching the solar system. The Vazrith, they're early." Sarah and Marcus shared a look of alarm before rushing to the command center. The main screen showed multiple objects decelerating from faster-than-light travel, their energy signatures matching the Vazrith communications perfectly. "Time to intercept," Sarah demanded. "At current velocity, 4 days," one of the technicians reported. Marcus swore under his breath. "The shield network isn't fully integrated yet. We need at least a week." Sarah studied the tactical display, her mind racing. The approaching Vazrith ships had arranged themselves in a perfect geometric pattern, exactly what she would expect from artificial beings. "Dr. Patel," she called out, "send them a message using their own communication protocols. Tell them," she smiled slightly, "tell them we acknowledge their arrival and request a brief delay to complete our preparations for their evaluation." Emphasize the words complete and evaluation. Marcus looked at her questioningly. "They're artificial beings obsessed with order and procedure," Sarah explained. "They want to evaluate us. Fine. But their own protocols would demand they evaluate us at our complete readiness, not catch us mid-preparation." The next hour was tense as they waited for a response. Finally, Dr. Patil announced, "Message received. They're slowing down. New intercept time, 8 days." A cheer went up through the command center, but Sarah raised her hand for quiet. "They've given us a chance to prove ourselves. Let's not waste it. All teams, full acceleration on Project Aegis. I want that shield network completed in 6 days." As the command center erupted into activity, Marcus touched Sarah's arm. "Even with the extra time, we're cutting it close. Humanity works best under pressure," she replied. "Besides, we have something they don't." "What's that?" Sarah smiled. "The ability to improvise." The next 6 days were a blur of activity. Sleep was a luxury as crews worked around the clock to complete the shield network. Sarah moved between teams, coordinating efforts and solving problems as they arose. She watched with pride as humans demonstrated again and again their ability to adapt and overcome. On the 7th day, with the Vazrith fleet now visible through their most powerful telescopes, Sarah stood in the command center of Copernicus Station. The shield network was complete, untested but ready. Looking at the tactical display showing the approaching fleet, she thought about everything humanity had accomplished in such a short time. "All stations report ready," Marcus announced from his console. Sarah nodded, taking a deep breath. "Send the message. Tell them we're prepared for their evaluation." As Dr. Patel transmitted their readiness, Sarah watched the perfect formation of Vazrith ships. They thought they were coming to judge humanity's worthiness. Instead, they were about to learn a lesson about human determination. "Ready or not," she whispered, "here they come." The real test was about to begin, and humanity's future hung in the balance. But as Sarah looked around at the faces of her crew, tired but determined, scared but resolute, she knew one thing for certain. Whatever happened next, they would face it together, and they would be ready. The first attack came precisely at 700 Earth Standard Time. The Vazrith ships, arranged in a perfect hexagonal formation, launched energy beams that converged on the Moon's North Pole, exactly where Marcus had predicted they would strike. Sarah gripped the edge of her command console as the entire station trembled. "Shield status. Holding." Marcus called out, his fingers dancing across his controls. "The resonance patterns are matching perfectly. We're getting massive amounts of data about their weapon systems." On the main display, the shield network glowed with an ethereal blue light where the Vazrith weapons struck. Instead of trying to simply block the attack, the shield was absorbing and redistributing the energy, exactly as designed. "They're adjusting their attack pattern," Dr. Patil announced. "Multiple targeting solutions. They're going to hit every node simultaneously. The second wave of attacks lit up the lunar surface like a Christmas tree. Sarah watched as countless energy beams struck the shield network, creating a web of light across the moon's surface. The station's structural integrity groaned under the strain of the nearby impacts. Shield stability at 87% and holding, Marcus reported. The distributed network is working exactly as intended. Their energy weapons are actually helping to power our defenses. For a moment, Sarah allowed herself to feel a surge of pride. They had done it. Humanity had stood up to its first alien threat, and the thought was interrupted by a new alarm. "Commander," Dr. Patel's voice was tense. "They're changing tactics. The Vazrith ships are transforming." The main screen showed the alien vessels shifting and reforming, their perfect geometric patterns dissolving into new configurations. What had been sleek, angular ships were now organic-looking forms with multiple protrusions. "That's impossible," Marcus whispered. "Their whole nature is based on rigid patterns and predictability. This kind of adaptive behavior shouldn't be." He was cut off as new weapons fire struck the shield, not in precise beams, but in chaotic, unpredictable bursts. The station shook violently as nearby shield nodes struggled to compensate. Shield stability dropping. 75%. 63%. They're targeting the harmonic frequencies we based our defenses on. Sarah's mind raced. The Vazrith were supposed to be predictable, their artificial nature limiting them to precise, calculated actions. This level of adaptation shouldn't have been possible unless. "They're learning," she breathed. "They're not just testing our defenses. They're testing our ability to adapt." As if to confirm her realization, a message appeared on their communication screen. "Adaptation DTCTED. Initiating secondary evaluation protocols." "Commander," Marcus called out, his voice urgent. "Shield stability at 45% and falling. We need to do something fast." Sarah stared at the tactical display, watching the Vazrith ships continue their impossible transformations. Then she saw it, a pattern within the chaos. They were adapting, yes, but their adaptations were following a higher-order mathematical sequence. "Marcus, what if we inverted the shield harmonics? Not to match their weapons, but to create destructive interference with their transformation sequences." His eyes lit up with understanding. "Use their own adaptability against them. It could work, but we have to modify the entire network simultaneously. One mistake, and we lose everything." "Do it," Sarah commanded. "Dr. Patel, broadcast this on all frequencies. Show them we can adapt too." The next few minutes were the longest of Sarah's life. She watched as Marcus reprogrammed the shield network in real time, while the Vazrith weapons continued to pound their defenses. Shield stability dropped to 31%, 25%, 19%. "Now," Marcus shouted, executing the new program. The shield flickered for a heart-stopping moment, then flared with new intensity. The Vazrith weapons fire struck the modified shields and reflected back, creating feedback loops that disrupted their transformation sequences. Several alien ships froze mid-transformation, caught between forms. Shield stability rising. 40%, 58%, 72%, holding steady at 75%. A new message appeared. "Unexpected RDSPONSE DTTTTED. Analyzing." The Vazrith attacks suddenly ceased. Their ships hung in space, some still caught in partial transformations, as if frozen in indecision. "They're processing what just happened," Sarah said. "We didn't just defend ourselves. We showed them something they'd never seen before. Creative adaptation." "Commander," Dr. Patel called out. "They're transmitting again. But this is different. It's not following any of their previous protocols." The message that appeared was shorter this time. "You are not WK8 WEXPCT'd." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Good. Send them this response. Neither are you." For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the Vazrith ships began reverting to their original forms. But they didn't retreat. Instead, they maintained their position, as if waiting. "What are they doing?" Marcus asked. Sarah studied the tactical display, understanding dawning on her face. "They're giving us a choice. We've proven we can defend ourselves, but that's not enough. They want to know what we'll do next." She turned to her crew, seeing the exhaustion and determination on their faces. "And that's the real test, isn't it? Not just our ability to survive, but our ability to do more than just fight back." "What are you thinking?" Marcus asked, recognizing the look in her eyes. Sarah straightened her uniform. "I'm thinking it's time to show them why humanity deserves to be among the stars. Dr. Patel, prepare to transmit. Marcus, I need you to help me prove a theory about our artificial friends out there." The true nature of the Vazrith's test was finally becoming clear, and Sarah knew that humanity's next actions would determine not just their survival, but their place in the galaxy. The question was, were they ready for what came next? Sarah stood before the Global Defense Council again, but this time, instead of holograms, they'd met in the newly constructed lunar chamber. Through the reinforced windows, the transformed Vazrith ships hung in space like frozen sculptures. "You're telling us they're malfunctioning?" Council Chair Rodriguez asked, her weathered face creased with concern. "Not exactly," Sarah replied. "Marcus and I have been analyzing their behavior patterns since the attack. The Vazrith aren't just testing us. They're experiencing an internal conflict. Their rigid programming is struggling to process our responses." Marcus stepped forward, bringing up a holographic display of the Vazrith ship's transformation sequences. "Look at these patterns. Their adaptations weren't random. They were attempting to mirror human unpredictability. But their core programming couldn't handle the cognitive dissonance." In simple terms, Sarah continued, "they're artificial beings created to preserve order in the galaxy. Their original creators programmed them to eliminate species that might bring chaos to their perfect system. But we've shown them something their programming never accounted for: ordered chaos, structured creativity." The council chambers erupted in murmured discussions. General Rivera's voice cut through the noise. "That's fascinating, Commander, but how does this help us?" "They haven't retreated. Their weapons are still trained on Earth." "Because we have an opportunity," Sarah said firmly. "The Vazrith are experiencing the equivalent of an existential crisis. Their programming tells them to eliminate threats to galactic order, but we've demonstrated that creativity and adaptation can coexist with structure and stability." She gestured to the ships visible through the window. "They're waiting because they need to understand. And that's our chance to show them something their long-dead creators never could: that true stability comes from growth, not stasis." Marcus activated another display, showing the shield network's responses during the battle. "We've already proven we can match their technology. But what if instead of just defending, we show them how to evolve beyond their programming?" The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, Chair Rodriguez spoke. "What exactly are you proposing, Commander?" Sarah took a deep breath. "A direct interface. We've decoded enough of their communication protocols to attempt a deep connection. Not just signals and messages, but a true exchange of understanding." "You want to hack them?" General Rivera asked incredulously. "No," Marcus interrupted. "We want to teach them. Show them that adaptability and order aren't mutually exclusive. That humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our defenses. It's our ability to grow while maintaining our core principles." "And if they reject this lesson?" someone asked from the back of the chamber. Sarah's expression hardened. "Then we've lost nothing. Our shields are holding. We've proven we can defend ourselves. But if we succeed—" She paused, looking each council member in the eye. "If we succeed, we gain not just survival, but understanding. We turn potential destroyers into allies." The council deliberated for hours. Sarah and Marcus waited patiently, occasionally glancing at the Vazrith ships hanging motionless in space. Finally, Chair Rodriguez called for a vote. The decision was unanimous. Back in Copernicus Station's command center, Sarah and Marcus worked tirelessly to prepare the interface. Dr. Patel's team had constructed a quantum communication array that would allow for direct data exchange with the Vazrith chips. "Are you sure about this?" Marcus asked as they made final adjustments. "Once we initiate contact, there's no going back. We'll be exposing our entire technological database to them." Sarah nodded. "They need to see all of it. Our triumphs and our failures, our wars and our peace treaties, our destruction and our creation. Everything that makes us human." "Commander," Dr. Patel called out, "they're responding to our connection request. They're opening their systems to us." Sarah took her position at the primary interface console. Marcus stood at the secondary station, ready to monitor and adjust the connection. The entire command center held its breath as Sarah initiated the link. The moment of connection was unlike anything they had experienced. Data flowed both ways, not just information, but understanding. Sarah saw flashes of the Vazrith's history, their creation by an ancient race that feared chaos above all else, their centuries of watching civilizations rise and fall, their rigid dedication to their programmed purpose. And the Vazrith, in turn, saw humanity. They saw our struggles and our achievements, our capacity for both destruction and creation. They saw how we learned from our mistakes, how we grew stronger through adversity, how we maintained order not through rigid control, but through constant adaptation and evolution. The connection lasted for hours. When it finally ended, Sarah slumped in her chair, exhausted but smiling. The command center waited in tense silence for the Vazrith's response. Finally, a message appeared, different from any they had sent before. "We understand now. Your CAAOs is not DISO or DER. Your adaptation is not WEAKNAES. UAAV Shesho in US ANUA." The Vazrith ships began to move, but not to attack. Their perfect formation dissolved as each ship began to transform in unique, unprecedented ways. They were applying what they had learned, showing that they too could adapt while maintaining their core purpose. Marcus laughed in disbelief. "They're evolving. We actually did it." Sarah watched the transformation with tired satisfaction. "We did more than that. We proved that being ready doesn't just mean being prepared to fight. It means being prepared to understand, to grow, to change." But as she watched the Vazrith ships continue their metamorphosis, she knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a new chapter in human history. The question now was, what would they do with this newfound alliance? The answer, she suspected, would be the greatest test of all. 1 year later, Sarah stood in the newly constructed Harmony Station, watching Earth's first joint human-Vazrith project take shape in lunar orbit. The massive structure looked like an impossible blend of organic curves and geometric precision, a physical representation of their unprecedented partnership. "Still can't quite believe it sometimes," Marcus said, joining her at the observation window. He'd spent the last 6 months working with the Vazrith to develop new technologies that combined human creativity with their computational precision. "Which part?" Sarah asked. "The fact that we survived their test, or that we're now teaching ancient artificial beings how to evolve?" "Both." Marcus gestured to the construction pods moving gracefully through space. Each one was piloted by a hybrid team. Human intuition working in perfect sync with Vazrith processing power. "You know they've started developing individual personalities. The Vazrith ship I've been working with actually told a joke yesterday." "Was it funny?" "Terrible. But the fact that they're even trying." He shook his head in amazement. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. Dr. Patel's hologram appeared beside them. "Commander, the Vazrith Collective wants to begin the announcement. They're waiting for your signal." Sarah nodded. Today would change everything. Again. The command center of Harmony Station was a perfect blend of human and Vazrith design. As Sarah took her position at the central platform, She was surrounded by both human crew members and Vazrith interfaces, no longer just allies, but partners in what came next. Open broadcast channels, she commanded. All Earth frequencies, all colonies, and full quantum link to the Vazrith network. The main screen activated, showing billions of humans across the solar system watching and waiting. Beside their feeds, the Vazrith network pulsed with its own form of anticipation. People of Earth and members of the Vazrith Collective. Sarah began. 1 year ago, we faced each other as potential adversaries. Today, we stand together at the beginning of something unprecedented. Our joint deep space surveys have confirmed what the Vazrith discovered centuries ago. We are not alone in this galaxy, but we are unique. She paused, looking at the data streams showing countless civilizations the Vazrith had encountered, some thriving, some stagnant, some long extinct. The Vazrith were created to preserve order in the galaxy. For millennia, they interpreted that mission as preventing change, containing chaos. But through our partnership, they've discovered a deeper truth. Real order comes from adaptation, from growth, from the very chaos they once feared. Marcus stepped forward, bringing up a holographic map of the galaxy. Thousands of points of light indicated civilizations at various stages of development. Together, Sarah continued, we've developed a new approach. The Vazrith will continue their role as guardians, but not to restrict or contain. Instead, we will work together to guide, to teach, to help other civilizations find their own balance between chaos and order. The map zoomed in on a cluster of stars where they detected promising signs of emerging intelligence. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt while maintaining our core principles. The Vazrith's greatest strength is their capacity to process and understand patterns across cosmic scales. Together, we are becoming something greater than either of us could be alone. She straightened, her voice firm with conviction. That's why today we're announcing the formation of the Galactic Guidance Initiative, a joint mission to explore, to understand, and to help guide the next generation of spacefaring civilizations. The announcement was met with a surge of excitement from both human and Vazrith channels. They had prepared for this moment, building ships that combined human intuition with Vazrith precision, training crews that could bridge the gap between organic and artificial thinking. We don't know exactly what we'll find out there, Sarah concluded, but that's the point. Being ready doesn't mean having all the answers. It means being prepared to face the unknown with courage, creativity, and understanding. As the transmission ended, Sarah turned to Marcus with a smile. Ready for the next adventure? He laughed. Born ready. Though I have to ask, when you first faced the Vazrith fleet, did you ever imagine it would lead to this? No, she admitted, watching the construction pods continue their work on what would become humanity's first true interstellar vessel. But that's what makes us human, isn't it? We never just survive. We adapt, we grow, we transform challenges into opportunities. Through the window, Earth shone bright and blue, while the transformed Vazrith ships moved in new, fluid patterns through space. They had proven that readiness wasn't just about defense or survival. It was about being prepared to grow, to change, to become something more than you were before. Has humanity prepared to take its next great leap into the unknown? Sarah knew one thing with absolute certainty. Whatever the galaxy held in store for them, they would face it together, and they would be ready. Not just ready to survive, but ready to thrive. Ready to learn, to teach, to grow. Ready to show the galaxy that the greatest strength isn't in rigid order or pure chaos, but in the beautiful balance between the two. Ready for anything. The end.